Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and this is another episode of Road to Dune. So a few days ago, Collider did an interview with Greig Fraser on shooting the upcoming Denis Villeneuve film, Dune 2020. And it's more or less just a puff piece. It doesn't really give anything away. There is one kind of interesting point he made in the article that I want to talk about. So I'll go through the article and then give my thoughts on it. Now, the first part of the article is kind of long-winded, so the first couple paragraphs I skipped, and I'm just going to go straight into the interview because the first two paragraphs just cover stuff we already know, like who the director is, cast, and all that kind of thing. Exclusive Dune DP Greig Fraser on shooting Denis Villeneuve's epic sci-fi adaptation. While Fraser was tight-lipped with regards to specifics, I asked about shifting from the world of Star Wars, working on Rogue One and The Mandalorian, to a completely different sci-fi tale, and Fraser discussed how fun it was to change things up. It was quite fun because I had to forget a lot of Star Wars when I was making Dune. It wasn't hard though. Denis and I spoke clearly about how the film should look and should feel, and the formats and this and that, so it was not hard to swerve and change lanes. There were some similarities, like the deserts. I mean, listen, ultimately, I'm positive George Lucas was inspired by Dune when he made Star Wars. I don't know if that's sacrilegious to talk about, but there are a lot of similarities in some areas, so you could tell he was definitely influenced by that. So I had to be careful doing both Dune and The Mandalorian, and not repeat myself. Also, not just for the sake of the movie, but for fun. I hate to do the same things twice. Villeneuve has stated that Dune is only one half of the story, and the intention is to make a sequel that will conclude the story from Herbert's book. But Fraser insists that despite the fact the book was split in half, this first Dune will feel like a satisfying story in of itself. It's a fully formed story in itself with places to go. It's a fully standalone epic film that people will get a lot out of when they see it. It was quite an adventure visually. It was a beautiful experience making it. The people involved with it, I was overwhelmed. Some of the actors, as well as being insanely talented actors, are just lovely, lovely people, who I've become very close to since then. As for his working relationship with Villeneuve, the two got along extremely well, because both were fond of being brutally honest with one another. I can tell you that Denis is a master and lovely human being who is passionate and wild and sensitive and loving. What I love about Denis is French Canadians and Australians tend to have a lot of similarities in that we get a bit passionately aggressive when we need to be. The French Canadians can be very, very passionate about life and things, so I found getting on with him really well on that. And also Patrice, the production designer. I think we all had the same thing of if something wasn't good, it'd be like, that's bullshit. And Patrice would be like, yeah, that's shit. They wouldn't pull punches, which I found awesome, and we had the same relationship. So interesting interview. So two things I want to talk about. One is, if he's right, how are they going to make the half of the story feel like a complete film? That I'm kind of curious about, and I'm kind of skeptical about what he said there, because they might be able to pull that one over on someone who doesn't know anything about Dune, but Dune fans will know. They only got half of a Dune movie. If this movie comes out, bombs, and we don't get the second half. Now, the other thing is the working relationship he has with Denis Villeneuve, and the fact that they can tell each other, call each other out on their shit. Now, hopefully that's just not like puff for this article, and that's something that actually happened on set, because I think it's important with these kinds of endeavors. Like, filmmaking should be like a team effort instead of having one person call all the shots, and you should be able to take some kind of criticism. For example, I'll use the Star Wars prequels as an example of when it's not, like, when there is no compromise. Like, it's very well known George Lucas had no pushback on any of his ideas for the prequels, for the most part. He was just surrounded by guys who just said, yes, 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 George. And I think those movies really suffered because of it. And I think if it was more of a team effort and, there was at least some collaboration and pushback on some of George's more crazy ideas, I think they would have been much better movies. And I think that's why the original trilogy turned out as well as it did, because it wasn't just George Lucas calling all the shots. There was a lot of other people on board that put ideas into those films. Where the prequels, it was pretty much just all George Lucas's ideas. And I think that hurt the movies. Because if you're creating stuff, you have to be able to... even though it sucks to get criticized when you create something, it's the same thing in YouTube videos. You make a YouTube video and it sucks, and or you think it's good, but you get criticized on it a lot. You have to take that criticism seriously and then kind of use that to improve upon your creation and move forward. Now, some of it obviously is totally overboard and unreasonable criticism. You can dismiss it, but when it's more constructive criticism, or they just flat out tell you this is crap, you can kind of take that and use that to make things better. So hopefully that was true on this film. Again, they didn't really talk a whole lot about what's going to be in the film or anything. But now the other thing, I don't know why the guy didn't ask, when are we going to get a trailer? Like, this movie is almost just about 6 months away. Like, the 18th of this month, I think, will be exactly 6 months. The movie will be 6 months away, and we still no trailer or teaser, nothing yet. When are we going to get that? That's what I'm, like, dying for. I've been waiting months. I thought we would have gotten one by now, to be honest. So now that's that story. So here's the second one I want to talk about. It is about the Dune board game. So they've already released an expansion for that Dune game that was released last year. Gale Force 9 unveils new Dune board game expansion, Ixians and Talaxu, house expansion. Gale Force 9 unveils Ixians and Talaxu, a house expansion for the Dune board game, which will be available in Q2 of 2020. The Dune board game came out over this summer of 2019. The expansion adds new mechanics as well as 2 houses to the game, Ixian and Talaxu. The House Ixian is led by the cyborg prince Romber of House Varenus, and they are experts in manufacturing and technologies. The royal family of Ix was one of the wealthiest families in the Imperium until they were invaded by Talaxu, and then later freed with the help of the Atreides. The second house added in this expansion are the Talaxu, who are masters of genetic engineering. They are the Emperor's allies, but they are power-hungry and plan to dominate the Chone. The Talaxu are also mortal enemies of the Ixians and still seek to impose their will on them. Dune, Ixians, and Talaxu house expansion will retail for $20. So I still haven't gotten around to playing my Dune board game yet, which I got to get on that, but you would think I would have had time, sitting doing nothing in quarantine, but eventually I got to make a point to actually sit down and play that game. So as for this news, I kind of have mixed feelings about this expansion set. On one hand, I'm excited that we're getting an expansion set, and it includes 2 extra houses. And it's some more Dune merchandise for Dune fans, because Dune fans don't have a lot of Dune merchandise, as opposed to like Star Wars fans. Have talked about that before in other videos. But the other thing, on the other hand, this is kind of a pet peeve I have with the board game industry. I can remember, I don't know when they started doing the expansion stuff, but I can remember a day when you bought a board game, you got the whole thing. There was whatever they intended to include in that board game was included. You didn't need to go and wait for expansions to come out later on to add on to the board game. So to me, this is kind of like a more of like a money grab type thing when they do this, where they could have easily included those 2 houses in the board game that was released last year. So now, will they release more expansions with more houses eventually? I'm guessing yes, if this one sells pretty well. But now this is something when they make board games. I don't know when they started this, doing the expansion things, but it's kind of a sneaky way to make extra, to fleece more money out of people, in my opinion. Maybe I'm coming on too harsh or whatever, but that's just how I feel. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.